Hey everyone, welcome to JoJo's World.
Good morning to you.
Bonjour!
Oh no, it's really, you've internalized the Francois, the Francais?
Nick,
The baguette.
I've been playing Clair Obscure, Expedition 33.
33.
Yes.
Oui, oui. Oui.
The accord.
Okay, I haven't. I'm still talking in English.
There's this video game, you see, where there is a big lady who you need to kill, even though a big lady is normally a nice thing to have around.
God, would hate to kill a big lady.
Going to kill God, but first have a delicious cigarette.
I believe you've been enjoying the game with the baguette costume as well.
The baguette costume, you'll see, you kill this mime, and then you get a black and white striped shirt and a beret, and then you're like, c'est français.
So, let me ask, so far, have you been enjoying the game?
Yes, it's very fun.
Have you been enjoying the Frenchness of the game?
Oh, it's so fucking French. Everyone's got such ennui.
And would you say that the Francoisness of the game enhances the sort of...
I did meet a character called Francois when I was playing yesterday, and I would say he enhanced the experience.
Beautiful. Would you give it a 10 out of 10 so far?
I don't really want to go into numerical rankings. I'm having a lot of fun.
Okay, 11 out of 10 it is then. Sure.
I got this robot arm, you see.
What does the robot arm do?
Okay, no spoilers, conceptual stuff.
Okay.
Nothing that you aren't going to learn in the first moments of the game.
Okay.
There's this paintress.
Okay.
She paints a big number on the tower every year, and everyone who is that age or older disappears. Or rather, everyone who is older. She's going sequentially down. So
Yeah.
everyone who is...
So counting from 100 down to like 0.
Yeah, and we're at 33.
Oh my
So
god.
everyone 33 or older is gone.
That's me.
So you got a bunch of... Yeah, me too.
Oh no.
It's almost like...
This video games are aimed at our demographic.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And doesn't that say a lot about society?
Not really.
And so they send every year an expedition to go and kill this big lady to stop her from wiping out all of humanity.
Now, I'm guessing since we're at Expedition 33, hasn't worked out for any of the previous expeditions? Okay.
As far as we know, she's not been murdered once.
Awkward. Very awkward. Okay, so they're just going to keep counting down until we all die.
And Gustave, your lead character, at least initially.
Gustave. How do you pronounce Gustave in French?
Gustave.
Gustave.
He is like a science man, and he's made like magic science tech, which you can use to do JRPG moves.
Right, okay.
But his apprentices made him a robot arm.
Okay. Why'd they make him a robot arm?
Because he lost his arm.
How did he lose his arm?
Unknown circumstances.
He lost it when a freak baguette incident went horribly awry.
Someone threw a croissant and it sliced his arm clean off.
Is there a Yuffie equivalent that just has a massive baguette? Oh, not baguette, a massive croissant on their back.
Not yet.
They can huck it for massive damage.
There should be, though.
If there isn't one by the end of the game, 0 out of 10.
But no, it's so French, even just beyond the general affect of everyone. You can unlock costume pieces by beating up mimes who were wearing them.
Just incredible stuff, really. Just incredible work.
Crucially, everyone in the game, I'm playing in the English language vocals, but they put in some French swears and other exclamations.
I have heard merde a number of times.
Merde and putain, which I believe means literally whore, but is a general exclamation in the same way fuck is.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And so there's this chart of searches for putain having spiked since it's come out like 100-fold.
Yeah. Oh my god. Amazing.
Anyway, I'm enjoying this video game.
Yeah.
This is, of course, JoJo's World, our JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast. Je m'appelle Liam S. Smith.
Et moi, Nick Ballantyne, la other, de la co-hosts. Nailed
Flawless.
it. Absolutely flawless.
This is, of course, JoJo's World, our JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast, where today we are talking about episodes 51 and 52 of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, or Heldensagen von Kosmosinsel.
Liam, I don't bloody think
the fourth last and third last episodes of this season.
I don't bloody know if we're... I don't know if we're bloody talking about that. I don't know if we're bloody talking about... Because I think we have a very important patron to call out today. A very important patron.
Don't make this weird.
Who has literally given us money. They have granted us this blessed gift of talking into a microphone. Like all our other patrons. But this one is today's one because
That's the way the system
That's
works.
how the system. I'm not going to do it again. Like, I'm not going to go back and be like, thank you all. I'm going to thank this one specifically and then never mention them again.
I actually go back and re-edit every episode of the podcast once I see that someone has downloaded it and heard the shout out. That shout out's been done, I cut it out.
We delete it, re-upload. It's like, there you go. Patron done. But today's patron is so memorable, but only today, because they're Rachel. Why are you smiling?
Interesting.
Why are you smiling?
There's a lot to say about this.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm ticking off their name and we'll never hear from them ever
That is, of
again.
course, my girlfriend.
Now, I need to ask.
Okay.
Why is she giving us money?
I don't know.
Well,
I found
alright.
about this when you opened your phone this morning. And then we had an exchange that I'm sure you want to dwell down on a little more.
You said...
No, you read out a comment.
I read out... So apparently, I didn't know this was a thing. Patreon lets you do like a welcome survey, which I've never set up, but supposedly...
No one has ever submitted one.
Yeah, no one has ever submitted one because they have taste and class. Because they're all great patrons.
Shit.
So you had like basically this most recent patron, who need not be named more than once because we can cut it all out anyway.
Yeah.
But they put down, I'm expecting a big smooch from Liam because of this.
And Nick read that out to me
I read
without
that out.
attributing it to anyone.
Yeah, and you said, "Oh, is that from our mutual friend of the podcast, Aiden?" And I went, "No, no, it's not." What? Hang on, go back. Why are you expecting?
And Nick found that very funny.
Why? Who knows? But the point is...
what happened was a few weeks back, a few episodes back, of course you can't remember this because we talked about it on the podcast.
Absolutely not. The $50 benchmark big smooch.
I made some wisecrack about, if someone gave us $50 a month, I would give them a big smooch on the mouth, which friend of the show, Aiden, has thrown back at me repeatedly, being like, I'll sign up when Liam gives me a big smooch.
Gotcha. Understood. Well, Liam, today's your lucky day because our patron's given us money, but no smooch.
Well, not you.
Oh, man. Well...
Only when there is full honesty and free exchange of ideas can there be a free and equal exchange of dollars and smooches.
Only in a free economy. Not a free economy like, capitalist pig dogs will tell you. But a free economy. Like a Patreon.
We're going to get a
podcast.
Patreon admin message being like, your podcast has been flagged for sex work.
Listen, if this is what takes us down, I'm willing to die on this hill.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's enough about my personal life.
Thank you, Rachel, for submitting to the Patreon.
Thank you. I don't think you're pronouncing that name right.
Rachel...
Rachel.
Rachel.
Anyway,
So, La Baguette.
do you have any Gundam-based correspondence for us this week?
Alas, no new Gundam-based correspondence.
Well, that's unfortunate because I do.
What?
What a twist. A delicious
my God.
twistery.
So, have you been continuing watching our boy
Shah Aznable?
Shah Aznable?
No, I haven't watched any more Gundam 79 since our last episode because I started watching One Piece, which is on Netflix.
Oh my God, no. Wait, is this One Piece the not abridged, like the Kai version that they're
No,
working
there
on?
isn't one of those yet.
Okay. So you're just watching...
Other than a fan edit, which I'm not going to watch because it's more effort.
So you're watching OG anime One Piece. How many episodes are there?
Like 1,300 or something. I've seen about 15.
Are you okay?
I'll be caught up in a couple of weeks.
Are you alright, Liam?
I'm fine.
That's so much
I'm
content.
fine.
Oh my God. Addicts will convince themselves that they're fine when they have a problem with
I haven't
One
done
Piece.
anything wrong. I've never done anything wrong.
See, that's what a One Piece addict would say.
Anyway.
So One Piece.
Oh, no, not One Piece, Gundam.
Oh yeah. So one Gundam. Gun Piece. The crossover event of the century. He ate the Gundam fruit.
Blair It's Harker got in touch.
Sup, Blair?
No, Blair. Like a Dracula noise.
Oh, like
Blair.
Blech. Sup, Blech?
Okay, if that's what you need. I desperately need you guys to know that the only Gundam series worth watching only Gundam series worthy of the pod is Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Easily the most gloriously dumb and self-contained entry in the franchise. I think you guys get a big fucking kick out of it. And I said, is that the one with the windmill Gundam? And they said, you bet your ass it is.
We need to watch this so bad. I mean, it feels like if we don't watch it, we're literally doing a disservice. Not to our fans, but to the
ourselves.
podcast.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
To our family.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If my mum found
The
out...
Twitter's World family.
Yeah, if my mum found out that we weren't doing the Windmill Gundam, I think she'd literally disown me. She'd be like, Nick, how are you going? I'd be like, I'm going good.
They should just call the show the Windmill Gundam, because it's what everyone's there for.
It's true.
And that sounds like an anime title.
The Windmill Gundam.
Yeah.
How would you say the Windmill Gundam in French?
It'd be called like a G Windmill Gundam Double Century 76.
Because they go noun...
It doesn't
noun,
matter.
adjective,
They just do whatever.
They do whatever?
Yeah. Also, the Father Sparks got in touch with us to say, today I learned it isn't eyes alone fortress, as in eyes, things on your face.
Oh, because they've never read.
Yeah. It's probably pronounced Isolon, technically.
Isolon.
What is I-S-E-R-L-O-H-N?
I-S-I-Z-L-H or L-O-H-N?
L-O-H, I think.
L-O-H. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Eyes alone.
Nick, your word is eyes alone fortress.
Could I have that in a sentence, please?
I'm going to capture eyes alone fortress.
In this moment, Nick thought to himself,
Do you need the language of origin?
if only I was Yang Wen Li. Yes, I do. What is the language of origin?
The Space Empire.
Eyes alone fortress. I, space. I-S, space. A-L-O-N-E. Full stop.
I space I-S space A-L-O-N-E.
Correct. Eyes alone fortress.
That's correct.
I did
You
it!
also forgot to spell fortress.
Oh, shit. Fortress.
Moving on. Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Bangerettes.
The battle for Vermilion Star Zone
Bangerettes.
1 and 2.
Fantastic work.
A lot of space combat.
Huge amount of space combat.
So in a nutshell,
Shit's fucked.
as set up last time, Yang is going to try and draw Reinhardt into single combat via spaceships. And Reinhardt is setting up, both sending his boys out to the far reaches of space so they can come rushing back in and do a big trap, but also setting up layer after layer of defensive line that Yang will need to try and penetrate.
And that's going to break him down.
Coming into this episode, both sides are having like we're about to go into the most dreadful combat of our lives. Let's all just set up big death flags for each other.
There's a whole lot of like R&R that's happening so they can get their chill out of the way.
Yang and Frederica get engaged. Julian's a little sad about that because turns out he loved Frederica all along.
Oh my god.
Poplin and Konev have we're sure about to go into space combat thing. Let's not die. One of them dies.
Oh my god.
And then the space combat starts and it's grisly and horrible and everyone dies.
It's one of those banger apps where you're reminded, oh, shit's not cool.
Yeah. Guts everywhere.
Yep.
And then Yang starts to win through trickery, but then Mueller arrives, and he still kind of keeps winning through sheer pig-headedness.
Just being like, no, I'm not going to lose.
But he doesn't decisively win, and that's what Mueller prevented.
And then we end on
And then
a cliffhanger.
it does not resolve. The battle that runs for these 2 full episodes.
Who knows what the next episode could be about?
Why, the Battle of Vermilion Star Zone Part 3? Would they dare?
Surely. I don't know. Might just end.
The end.
Full retreat.
The deeds of men remain the same. War never changes. Unless it does.
Yeah, like in Metal Gear Solid 4.
When there's big cowbots.
Are they cows?
They make cow noises.
But they're called geckos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Geckos don't make cow noises.
These ones do.
But what about...
What a beautiful world he's woven.
So they're called geckos, but they make cow noises, even though they're clearly
Tanks.
human legs.
Yeah.
And they're not alive. Hideo just sits there nodding. He's like, yes.
The ones in Rising Revengeance are kind of alive because they've got central nervous systems.
Oh, they've
you
got
can
the baby
see
brains.
for
Yeah.
massive damage.
Yeah, the baby brain spinal column
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Well, they're not really alive so much as they're enslaved by the...
Nick is engaging in the process of dehumanization to justify the mass murder.
Well, listen, I mean, if I'm going to be playing this guy who's a robot ninja, I can't just be murdering babies. That's why they're in the big shell, so that when I take the spine
big
out...
shell.
Yeah.
The big shell incident.
Well, that's what they want you to believe.
Solid Snake Resurgence Project, or whatever the MacGuffin of that game was called.
Resurgence Project? Ooh. What was the...
The President. Metal Gear. Ray,
Rover.
the cooker from the moon in Wallace and Gromit.
Is he pure evil, the cooker?
Yeah.
Now, why
We hate the cooker.
Why do we hate
A mutual
the
friend
cooker?
of the show genuinely hates the cooker.
Why do they hate the cooker?
I shrugged.
Okay. All right, okay. So they just hate them because they hate them.
Yeah. We hate them because it's free.
Because it's free.
Yeah. It's free up there on the moon to dream about skiing.
Sov citizen that they fucking are. They were like, you can't persecute me on the moon.
They don't have jobs on the moon.
Oh, those motherfuckers. Those freeloading ass cheese monkeys. It all comes back to insults about the French. And that's why Legend of Galactic
You said
Heroes-
it, not me.
Hey, I'll look.
And I never would.
Again, if
Because I'm just better like that.
you play Claire Obscure Expedition 33 and you're like, I respect Francais. Whereas I look at it and go, damn, I wish I could play that game. It looks so good. I mean, I will one day. And then I'll come back and be like, Liam.
No, you should just watch me play it so that you can give me attention.
Liam, you already have an entire podcast that we're on. So I see what this is.
Never enough.
You want the full spotlight.
Never enough positive attention.
What you need is to become a streamer, right? Here's the surefire way to get attention. Okay, number 1, become a streamer. Number 2, you don't have enough views as a streamer, right?
You've got to hustle.
You gotta hustle. So you start side hustles.
Let it poison your mind.
Yeah. You start doing IRL streams. You start doing unboxing videos.
Ninja gigs.
React videos. Then, step 3.
Kill yourself.
You have 2... It's like a branching pathway here, right? It's either you go down the path of Mr. Beast, or you start an OnlyFans.
I don't really like either of those options for me.
Well, I mean, you wanted positive attention. I don't know what you... Look, the tech tree is quite clear.
Could I just go to a prestigious clown school instead?
You have to do that before you become a streamer, but I guess you could do it, yeah? Do you like being told that you're not very funny?
No.
Well, you're going to hate this clown college.
Okay. It's Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Episode 51.
The fleets are approaching.
Yang and Frederica are having a little chat.
Yang sets the scene essentially. They were going to do the plan that they have been working on for the last couple of episodes, which is keep doing guerrilla warfare until it goads Reinhardt into facing them in single combat, which is working. But the way he's dispersed all of their fleets, Reinhardt's own forces are going on a direct course for planet Heinessen, the Alliance base.
Oh my god.
So they can't just let him go they can't let all the fleets go as far afield as they originally hoped.
Yeah. Otherwise they'll reach
They'll just
Heinessen and
take
kill everyone.
over Heinessen.
Yeah.
So they have to face him somewhere, and they pick the Vermilion Star Zone, a place that is entirely nondescript.
It is empty.
We know it's got an asteroid field in it, and nothing else.
I mean, we didn't see any asteroids at any point until they became very relevant.
That's right.
Very quickly.
And then Julian comes in and is like, hey, I think this is a trap. And Julian,
Yang's like, what?
yeah, it's probably a trap, but what else are we going to do?
And Julian's like, well?
And they basically have a conversation being like, we're going to die, yeah? And he's like, yeah, we're going to die. But we're going to try.
Well, they don't actively say we're gonna die, but they sure should look at each other as like, so, you know what this battle means, right? It's like, yeah.
And crucially, it's Julian having returned from his solo mission afield, now operating on a more equal playing field with Yang, whereas before he was content to, you know,
Just learn from
be
him
the
and-
guy pouring him his tea and
It's like he's had his
following
promotion.
his orders.
He's had his promotion. The power trip's just getting to
That's
him.
not what I'm saying, but okay.
But Yang is like, easy does it. But in a friendly, conversational way.
Sure,
you know?
if that's what you need.
Yeah.
And a lot of shots in this episode of Yang, like, sitting thoughtfully with his hand on his chin, being like, I'm sending out all sorts of death flags right now.
There's him listening to Julian as though he's the next generation. There's the bit coming up with Frederica.
Everyone gets one final day of R&R.
I think they have 3 hours.
No,
of
that's
R&R.
later. They get secret extra R&R later.
So they get told, all right, this might be our last R&R.
Yep. Enjoy yourselves thoroughly and leave without regrets.
And
Hey everyone, we're all about to die, so just have yourselves a good time. And Poplin is immediately like, I'm gonna go get laid.
And Konev is all like, we'll see about
He
that.
literally says, oh well, time to go seek a hot night of passion.
Oh man, I wish I was Poplin.
And Konev says, Konev is of course,
Poplin's friend.
whose name we have consistently forgotten.
Yep.
Because he's the boring one. And even now he's like, I'm gonna go back to my room and sleep.
And Poplin's all like, you boring little shit. Of course you would. Look at me. I'm Poplin. I'm the best there ever
Yeah,
was.
I'm a brash hotshot.
I'm the coolest motherfucker. You're not as cool
I
as
got one
me.
of them big pilot scarves and everything.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll see you later with a hot bae in my arms.
Yeah.
In my bed.
And then we
Because I'm
get
cool.
a scene in which Frederica Greenhill is applying big pink lipstick.
I'm sure that won't be
I'm
relevant.
sure that there's nothing happening.
No. Don't be ridiculous.
It was real, like, Utena shades of lipstick, but then in the next scene, it's just gone.
Yeah, it's literally just like, oh, look at those big luscious lips, and then gone. Just normal anime lips.
She's about to enter into a conversation, not just as a military officer and adjutant, but as a woman. It's basic symbolism, Nick.
Oh, I get you. Because the application of lipstick humanizes her.
It's
Whereas-
an expression of
Oneself.
personhood beyond being an apparatus of the military.
Are you allowed to wear lipstick in the military?
Well, it's the space future. We have no way of knowing what the regulations are.
Was she wearing lipstick before?
Well, it's impossible to tell because it disappears immediately.
True. It's literally, you won't see it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking you could get away with wearing lipstick in the military if you're just constantly holding your lips inside your mouth.
To what end?
Like, if you were like, I gotta hold in this lipstick, you'd be like,
But why?
what do you mean, but why? Like, if you wanted to wear lipstick but didn't want to get in trouble for it, you'd be like, "Meh, meh, meh, meh." You know? Like, you'd move your lips into
That's
your
right,
mouth.
folks. You'd be like, ma 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 ma.
You know, you'd
Da,
have...
da, 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 da.
Like, that would be fun. Like, that you get away with that. It'd be fine.
Yep, you'd get away with it.
Imagine someone's on the radio and they're just like, we're under heavy fire. And you'd
Get
be like,
no Lips Houlihan down here.
that'd be it. It'd be great. I'm going to make a war film with just literally someone who's like, I've applied lipstick, but I'm not allowed to wear lipstick in the military.
Nick is sucking his lips in silently.
I gotta do this the whole time. This is what I have to do.
You're exhausting.
What can I say? So anyway, Frederica
goes into Yang's office as he has summoned her to ask her to marry him. He does it in a very roundabout and awkward way, and she responds in a very roundabout and awkward way because they're not good at being people.
Well, they're depersonalized by the military.
Of course.
So Yang's all like, Lieutenant General.
I mean, Lieutenant Commander.
Lieutenant Commander.
Miss Greenhill. And she keeps going, yes?
Yeah.
Frederica.
Yes, and then she has a
And
moment.
her eyes are getting increasingly glittery.
Well, as soon as he says Frederica, her eyes turn full anime, and she goes,
It feels like we've gone 11 years back in time.
and then we go back 11 years in time.
It's the first time you've called me by my name since El Facile, when she famously brought him snacks when he was working furiously to evacuate people.
And that is the entirety of the flashback.
Yep.
And then they're like,
And then he says, when this war is over, he trails off. I'm 7 years older than you. How should I say this? There are a lot of things wrong with my lifestyle. Upon reflection, I'm not sure whether I'm worthy of making this request. I've even thought about pulling rank. I'm not sure what that means. The battle's about to begin right before our very eyes, making this request imprudent of me.
imprudent?
Imprudent?
Imprudent.
But regretting it after saying it would be better than regretting not saying it. I'm a bit flustered. I've just been talking about only myself. Anyway, I'd like to get married.
And Frederica immediately is like, if we lump together our pension funds, we should be able to have enough money in retirement.
The way he did that
Made for each
reminds me of the naturalistic approach to dialogue in Clair Obscure Expedition 33.
Tell me more.
Well, in which people are... I mean, I'm not very far into it, but...
Yeah, but they're interrupting each other?
People are stuttering, they're interrupting each other, they're speaking over each other, people are, like, starting a sentence and then, like, thinking that's an awkward way of phrasing it and then starting it in a different way.
Yep.
It's not something you see in a lot of video games.
Yeah.
It's not inherently better or worse, it's just a different way to use to what I've often seen in video game dialogue.
It sounds like a very French approach, in the sense it's very human.
I mean, I don't think inherently. I think it's just a different,
Well, I think, like...
different style. Like it's in how in theatre you've got like representative and presentative theatre.
Liam, I never did proper drama.
Okay.
You're going to have to explain these terms.
I'm not going to.
Oh.
But it's like naturalism versus like a staged presentation of reality.
Also, like a narrator versus...
No.
Like a human.
No, dialogue.
What about...
So like, okay, in theatre you might have, for instance, some stages of theatre where everything is very presentational. It is presented towards the audience. Characters are always speaking while they are facing the audience.
Oh, like a Shakespearean
yeah,
play
yeah.
where you have a monologue and they're like Ha, it's me.
Or something that's more representational of reality, where people move about more freely. They're not necessarily always facing the audience when they're speaking because they are looking at the person they're talking to like someone in reality would.
Like a streetcar named Desire.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If that's what you need.
I don't know if that's actually what it is.
I mean, it's going to depend on how you are directing and producing it, but...
Or like Claire Obscure.
Expedition 33.
Yeah. They're never really looking in the camera, except that one bit where
they look in the camera and say, we're about to embark on Expedition 33.
I'm about to Claire Obscure all over these bad guys.
Yeah.
So in Claire Obscure Expedition 33, they talk like people.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that, or is it just realistic dialogue?
It's just
nice to...
It's just a way of writing dialogue that you don't see a lot in video games, so it struck me as worth commenting on.
I imagine that must be... Okay, this is going to be a slightly weird, nerdy topic. But
on this podcast?
You would never believe it. But like in video games, I imagine you only have a certain number of like audio channels that you can use for dialogue.
What are you talking about?
So I warned you at the start of this diatribe.
Like a codec in Metal Gear?
No, like... So you would have like sound effects as one channel. And then, like, maybe you'd have another channel that's, like music.
Channels you can have active at once, do you mean?
Yeah. So maybe the dialogue has, like, one active
Why
channel.
would that be the case?
Because maybe all the other ones are, like, music, sound effects, blah, blah, blah. And the CPU can't handle more than, like, 4 or something. I don't know why. Just go with me.
Couldn't you just reduce all of the dialogue to one audio file, though?
No, because then, when you're timing all of your animations, the way that it tends to work is you have the animation play and the audio play, but the audio will just play. Otherwise, it's not audio. The animation might be at a different frame rate.
Stop. The audio will just play, otherwise it's not audio.
Yeah!
Speak on that.
It has to play in one consistent thing.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes from start to finish.
Why couldn't you have multiple voices in that one thing?
Because if you have multiple voices, the animations that are playing in the game, which could be at a different frame rate, would no longer sync up to the audio, so it would go weird.
I would simply make it so that it worked right.
I would be...
Nick, you're full of shit.
I'd be a great video game director. But I imagine if you have like a game where it's like, here's the file that plays.
What are you driving at?
So you know how you have your back and forth conversations with characters in video games? And it's like, here's one person talking. The dialogue ends, perhaps abruptly, but then the other person then goes to that camera angle, and then their audio file starts. I imagine there's like a really hard thing of being like, we're going to make natural conversation if you have two separate files that are like, I've started talking, I'm playing my animation, but it's only made for like one file at a time. You know what I mean?
You sound insane right now.
I'm really smart. This is what I'm saying. Anyway, I assume in video games it's really hard to do. So if they pull it off with like the natural kind of dialogue, maybe it's, I don't know, easier than I thought. I don't know.
JoJo's World is, if nothing else, a podcast where we will never get to the point.
What point?
Exactly.
Oh, yes. Now, this is what I'm here for.
If we pool our pensions, living expenses shouldn't be a problem, she says. And my parents...
Oh, I thought you were going on a different tangent entirely. My brain is broken, Liam. My brain is actually legitimately broken now. All right. Frederica Greenhill. Pensions.
And she talks about how her parents had a similar age gap to she and Yang do. So that's okay.
And then they awkwardly look at each other.
And then he says, well, you still haven't responded to me.
And she's like, yes, you fucking idiot, yes.
They're going to get married because they love each other.
After the war.
After they both die in the war. And then Julian is drinking with Kazulnu and he's slamming down his whiskey because it turns out he is in love with Frederica. And also with Yang.
Oh my god, he loves them both. He's so young.
And he wants to be happy for them, but there is a certain youthful brashness and insecurity that means that he is hurt by this.
A certain ennui has overtaken him. A certain jealousy.
You don't need to do this.
It's fine. I'll get there one day. I'll thread every needle. So anyway, he's sad, but he's not that sad.
Yeah. And he's going to die. Like they all are.
Everyone's going to die, Lee.
Yeah.
Everyone dies. But Kazunyu is just pouring these drinks.
And you wanted to talk about how he is pouring the whiskey and then watering it down.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about... Okay.
Sure.
Nothing I hate more in this world than when someone offers you whiskey and then goes, oh, do you want ice in it? And I'm like, no.
You want your Scotch neat.
I want it straight. I want it like... And they're like, oh, do you want some water? Like a drop of water? I'm like, why would I want to water down
Some
my
people
whiskey?
like that.
Freaks.
I think...
Pure freaks.
I wonder if this is also in particular a Japanese thing. because of the sort of you're familiar with the
drinking nights?
the genetic intolerance towards alcohol some Asian people have.
Yes, because they don't have the... Is it an enzyme
Probably.
or a protein?
I'm not a biologist.
Yeah, which means that they get really flushed really easily. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think there's probably more of a common practice of watering down strong liquor.
Maybe.
Wild speculation here.
Look, we're very smart on JoJo's World, but we'll never get anything right. Yeah, maybe. Maybe, actually.
I don't have an answer, but I wonder if that is driven by that.
Yeah. You know what the other thing I think it could be is? He's an admiral, and he may still need to be sober by the time that
He's not an
Arnott
admiral.
Isn't he?
He's like a sergeant, tops.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a sergeant, so he may still need to be somewhat sober, but also he is drinking a lot, isn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe... See, I would believe that there might be something to that if they also didn't have those insane drinking nights where they just go crazy drinking in front of their boss.
In real life.
Yeah. In real life. In Japan...
You would believe what about that if...
Like that you would water down the whiskey to be more sober. But then the solution to that... I say solution. The problem there is that you would just order more whiskey.
Well, I think there's two different factors at play there, which is one is like the social expectation of going out and drinking versus the actual like biological functions at play.
Yeah. But if you ignore the biological functions and just go crazy...
That's how you get the big bucks.
That's how you make the dozo. You know what I mean?
Don't know what that means.
It means please. Like please, after you, please. Dozo. That's what it is. I've sent you this video. I've surely sent you this video.
D'accord.
Of the lady who's like, dozo. And the boss is like, yeah.
Kazumi says, I know I'm intruding, but love and the human mind can't be analysed with formulas.
Which I disagree with. I hard disagree.
You've got a system. You've got to figure it out.
Listen, I did a math degree, not for no reason, might I add.
Was it for any reason?
Oh, in hindsight, no. But, math is good.
It's not unusual for love to make you forget the sense of care and respect for others.
Can love bloom?
There's no logic. It's an uncontrollable urge.
Can love bloom on the battlefield?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. All right, never mind. We're good.
Who was that about? That was Sniper Wolf.
And Otacon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because
and Otacon's all like, can love bloom on the
Otacon
battlefield?
wanted a big, beautiful sniper woman to blow his brains out, right?
I mean, don't we all? Like, that's not Otacon alone. Like, come on, right? We're all in that.
And did she know that he existed?
Well, he was trapped on that base for a while, right? Yeah. But I think Sniper Wolf was probably like, I'm a wolf, a lone wolf with the pack.
Remember exactly zero of her characterization.
I think she was Russian or something. Look, don't come at me, anyone. But I think she was Russian, and she was like, "I'm a lone wolf. I have to be alone, sniping people."
But what if there was a beautiful man who was really into anime I could fall in love with?
I can piss my pants at the drop of a
hat.
hat.
Never mind, I'm dead. The snake killed me.
Oh yeah. Maybe she was like, I should have loved Otacon, but never did because I am a wolf. A lone wolf of the pack.
A werewolf within.
Ah, a real sniper wolf.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kazumi relates a story about how after he got married, his wife kept calling him Lieutenant Kazumi for a while as out of habit. He wonders if
for a while
if Yang and Frederica will do the same thing.
Something tells me absolutely.
I think these kids are going to be all right. I think they're going to be dead tomorrow.
Yeah. Julian, you have to marry my daughter.
My 5-year-old daughter or whatever.
God, still so weird.
Julian talks about how he's not going to keep living with them after the war, because that would be weird.
Yeah, these two newlyweds. Do you reckon Frederica Greenhill is good at organising like Julian is?
Oh, who could live up to Julian's example?
Exactly.
He's going to go to Earth instead, though.
Earth? Why is he going to Earth?
Should just check it out.
Oh, okay. Not to join the Earth cult, surely.
Just see what the whole deal is with the bullshit they're preaching.
I mean, after Fazan, where to next? But Earth.
Speak on that.
Well, Fazan's cool and all, but you know what the coolest place in the universe is? After hearing some of the propaganda on Fazan? Earth. I'm nodding right now. Nodding meaningfully. Earth.
Earth. I'm reading this book.
About Earth?
Yeah. It's called Shadow of the Torturer, and it's the first book in the Book of the New Sun quadrilogy.
That's our Earth.
Well, it's on a planet that is clearly far, far, far future Earth, but it's called Earth. URTH.
Okay, all right.
And I guess that's like linguistic drift over
Yeah.
millennia.
Okay, all right. Are they super high tech or are they like cavemen?
They're more or less medieval fantasy, but with rare instances of this used to be a very high-tech civilization, or might still be, but it's just not in focus.
Oh, so it's like Numenera kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, at one point, he's a torturer. His job is to torture people.
Same.
And at one point, they have to take this woman and put her in the like revolving machine or whatever it's called.
Ooh.
And he talks about how it's powered by lightning. There's another
Okay.
word for it, but he can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
And then it bathes her in this like bright white light.
Huh.
And then he takes her back to her cell, and like her hair starts falling out in clumps, and so like it's clearly just given her like radiation poisoning.
I thought you meant she's just drunk a bunch of detergent in a washing machine.
What are you talking about?
In the rolling machine, because it rolls.
You're insane.
Like, I just thought if it rolls,
You're gonna
it's like
kill
a
me,
washing
aren't
machine.
you?
Well, no, I'm going to put you in the rolling machine.
I learned about from the Stephen King podcast, Just King Things, by the Homestuck Made This World guys, who I've
Yeah.
gotten very into recently. Shout out to their work. They're what I would like to be, but much more qualified and better, because they're both like literature professors.
Oh, what? Oh, shit, I didn't realize that.
Oh
my.
Or academics, at least.
Oh, well, I mean, you know.
They talk about the Stephen King story where basically a bunch of people over the course of time accidentally do like a demonic ritual to like make a big industrial laundry press possessed and evil.
Okay.
It's a hell of a short story.
What the fuck? All right. Is this like a comedy or is this a genuine...
It's just a short horror story.
But is
A
it
bit goofy.
Yeah, but is it meant to be
I
like
haven't
a
read it.
genuine horror story? Like
guess
Stephen
so.
King sat down and went, all right, this is going to be the scariest one yet. Fuck. I'll keep it.
I believe that.
Yeah. Like, because he doesn't really plan anything out either, as far as I'm aware of Stephen King. He just sort of
Yeah.
sits down and is like, well, I got to write up some papers.
As a matter of fact, I was talking about this very thing in our social Discord recently, in the channel you're not allowed to enter because it's about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That tracks.
And I was talking about how... we're getting so far off track.
We never talk about
I was
the thing.
talking with a friend of ours about whether or not Araki outlines his stories and like the way they shift over time.
Yep.
Like, or goals might shift from the initial conception to...
from
to
the
execution.
Start. Yeah, from the start of part 4 to the end of part 4
Yeah.
feels very different.
I disagree, but okay.
From the start of part 5?
I feel like I can't talk about the details because it's future stuff, but I feel like part 8 is like there are some very distinct examples of where being able to go back and revise a draft if it weren't being serially published would have been very useful.
Yeah.
Like, you'll forget this, so I can tell you.
Okay.
At one point, our protagonist, who has amnesia, has like a trauma flashback to like
Same.
some guy's face. Like, it's clearly meant to be like a significant antagonist.
Yeah, you told me about
Yeah,
this one time.
But then no character with that design ever shows up.
Yeah.
So, I could make a couple of guesses about, based on the plot, which character that is meant to be.
Yeah.
But because that's already been published and it's out there in a serialized storytelling format,
We've seen Chekhov's gun,
that's not what
but
I'm
it's
saying.
never going to get fired because the face never shows up.
Not quite what Chekhov's gun is, but okay.
But it's like, you've seen this face, you're like, oh, he's going to show up again. But then obviously never does.
Yeah.
Because he's just moved on and probably forgotten who that
I
was.
think it's more likely he just redesigned whoever that was.
Oh, so maybe he outlined it, didn't have a design in mind yet. Or just redesigned
I feel like
it at
you're
some
not
point.
listening to me.
Well, like, if you say redesigned, if they get to a point where it's like, oh, I have a
The
character in
face
mind.
has been drawn in the artwork.
Yeah.
It's been published.
Yeah.
Months or years later, potentially that character may have shown up, but with a different design.
Right, okay. Are they ever referenced by name?
No,
Mysterious.
because it's just this one shot of this guy's face in a
Yeah.
trauma flashback.
Yeah, and they have main character looking...
Oh, they look like a JoJo's character.
They have the look of someone who... if you
It's
saw them-
clearly meant to be. Look,
it's meant to be someone.
it's meant to be someone of significance.
But they just never show up again, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
it could have been that guy, or it could have been that guy.
Yeah,
We'll never
could only
know.
speculate.
Yeah, it's like The Boss, where... we
So
see
where was
the-
I driving with that?
Stephen King.
So yeah, in comparison, apparently Stephen King, as I've learned from this Just King Things podcast, check it out, never outlines his stories. He just sits down
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bashes out his pages
He
and
does 6
sees how
pages a
the
day.
thing takes shape.
Yeah.
But in comparison to Hirohiko Araki, because of his works are by and large all published as a single entity rather than serially, he could have the luxury to go back and smooth out any inconsistencies in the editing process of producing a novel.
Oh, Stephen King could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which he never does.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know if there are. Well, I mean, maybe per
Well,
book
look,
he does.
as I said in this chat that you didn't read,
Correct.
there's editing.
I never will.
There's editing and there's editing. You know, there is like tidying up a phrase that is a bit clunky, and there is, you know, making something that was inconsistent with later in this book be consistent. And I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot of this 20-page digression into the inner life of a character who never appears again is kind of dragging things down. Maybe I should cut it.
Okay. Gotcha. Now that you've said there's editing and editing, I can only think of the Lionel Hutz scene.
There's the truth.
And there's the truth. But now it's like, this feels like wasted potential. I think it's a red herring.
Anyway, where was I going?
I don't know. You just started with Stephen King, and then that was it.
Stephen King, Araki, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Apparently, the new live-action adaptation of a Thus Spoke Kashibe Rohan story has entirely generative AI-created music, and we don't approve of that.
I don't like the future. I don't like it. I'm an old man, and I don't like the future that we live in. You know? It's like, why did we make it this way? Why didn't we just go, how about we use Gen AI and then we reject it and we never look at it ever again?
I may have shared this before on the podcast, but since it's come up relatively organically, here is Hirohiko Araki's words of wisdom
Oh, God.
on today's world of con artists.
Oh.
Speaking about societal evils, I think that as AI continues to spread throughout society, we're going to see an increasingly shady world filled with scammers exploiting it. Recently, I came across a drawing and thought, this is something I drew, right? I was shocked to find out it was actually created by AI. When I draw manga, I add subtle personal elements that make the work uniquely mine. But this AI-generated piece even mimicked details like the way I draw eyelashes so precisely that it was impossible to tell apart from my work.
Oh my God.
If it were based on recent drawings, I'd know right away, no, I didn't draw this. On the other hand, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell the difference if it were done with my art from about 10 years ago, when memory of it would be a little hazy. The more AI advances, the more this kind of thing will happen. Art reflects its times, and manga is one example of that. Seeing this world of con artists appear in manga could very well mean that we're headed for a future world dominated by fraudsters. This type of evil in today's age will undoubtedly end up impacting manga down the line. Copyright infringement by AI is also a villain that we manga artists must face. The extreme scenario is that AI-generated fakes might start being accepted as the real thing. And even if we try to protect our work, these counterfeits are becoming so accurate and sophisticated that it's no longer a fight an individual can win. Having some kind of laws would probably be the only way to regulate this. However, because we're dealing with a world of con artists, there's also a real possibility that the laws favouring them will appear before we know it. Personally, I entrust my copyright management to Shueisha. But some manga artists are lax in managing their copyrights, leading to others using their artwork without permission, or even leaking original drawings. When I see that, I worry they might face serious trouble down the line if they don't take it more seriously.
That's why we like Claire Obscure Expedition 33. No Gen AI in that.
As far as I'm aware.
Human-generated content. If it turns out they used AI, I'm going to just burn down France.
Famously, a computer can never be horny or have depression, so a computer can never create art.
It's true. It's so true. Anyway, so Frederica and Yang
Are getting married.
now currently horny but unable to engage in that because there's
Because
a
of
war
duty.
going on. Exactly. They're very good soldiers.
Yang divides the Vermilion Star Zone, roughly 125 billion cubic light seconds,
That seems about right.
into 10,000 sectors, using a big space grid that looks like a
19
Windows 95 like tank
Screensaver?
video game.
Oh, I see where you're coming from now. Oh, God, yes. I was going to say, it looks like a Kraftwerk album cover. Or like a 1998 screensaver or something.
And he spreads 2,000 patrols throughout the thing so that they know when they approach, and then immediately they detect them approach.
Oh my God. Why, that's the Brunhild. Or is it? I can't remember. But point being,
Long story short, the battle begins.
and the battle takes up 1.5 episodes.
Oh, everyone on both sides takes 3 hours of R&R, and they're allowed alcohol. So everyone's going into this hammered, I'm sure.
Yeah. They're also saying we're not going to be getting any sleep for the next however long this takes. And as they hear that and get up, everyone just collectively moans and then drudges off.
But Shenkop stays behind and is like, Yang, do you think you're going to win? Do you think you want to lay out the whole thesis of this show before you potentially die?
Why, what's that, Shenkop?
I'm going to find the quote. Because we've been kind of grappling with this for the last episodes. Like, where does the show land on the conflict between, like, a flawed democracy and a benevolent dictatorship?
And Shenkop this whole time is like, Yang, do you think you can win? Do you really have the ambition it takes? Do you really believe in what you're fighting for? Like, where do you stand on any of this? Because you seem to win, but you seem to also have no ambition.
Yeah, you're a man who doesn't even believe in himself at all in battle. A man who believes not in himself, but who always emerges victorious. For a man who believes only in righteousness, that must be a hard existence to justify. It's crazy. And he responds, thesis of the show, big letters flashing on the screen.
It's like literally either side on like the side panels where it's like normally you'd be 16 by 9. It's 4 by 3 right now with big black and red letters, themes.
Yeah. I believe that being ruled by the worst democracy is preferable to being ruled by the best autocracy. That's why I'm fighting Prince Reinhard von Lohengrin on behalf of Job Trunicht. Oh, that Job Trunicht, we hate him.
Fucking Job Trunicht. Cruel Angel's thesis begins playing.
Speak on that.
Well, because it starts with like... and then it goes into... Yeah,
but why? I know how the song goes.
What do you mean, why? Because it suits the thing. Just fits. Themes, Liam.
Are you just saying that because we're talking about theses?
Yes! Neon Genesis theses.
Okay.
Liam's about to jump off a cliff right now.
You pushed me way too far.
So anyway.
I'm gonna kill the paintress.
Oh my god. But we love big women. Not this one.
Shenkop says, Rudolph, who established the Galactic Empire, became emperor with the full support of people. What must it have been like before then during the rule of a terrible democracy? Something worth pondering, don't you think?
Makes you think.
In other words, does rulership by the worst democracy provide better government than rulership by the best autocracy? These are the questions. Anyway, space battle time.
We don't have any answers.
Well, Yang's got his answer, and that's good enough for me.
Hate Job Trunicht.
We hate him, but we will defend his
democracy
state against the comparatively benevolent Reinhard von Lohengrin because of what he represents.
We simply must. But what if there's something undermining that democracy?
The battle begins, as the narrator tells us, on an ordinary note. It's a pretty standard exchange of fire.
Yeah, both sides are like, all right, when's he pulling out his little trick?
And we're getting so much flashes to both Yang and
Reinhardt
reacting to developments, but also random commanders we'll never see again that are getting full on-screen nameplates, at least from our subtitlers.
Yeah, partially because there's a lot of people, but also because they're doing something that is immediately going to get them killed.
Yes.
Because all the communications are being jammed.
We know this because of the push-button wars.
Yeah, so Yang and Reinhardt are just like, oh, I need you to get this message to this person. And it's like, we can't get through. It's like, well, then
send a shuttle. And there's a lot in these two episodes of people running up onto the bridge with a piece of paper in their hand.
Yeah, it's so good. And it all makes perfect sense. But at the same time, it's so ridiculous.
We get a sort of mirrored reaction from the two leaders as the battle commences. Because both their frontline ships are asking for orders on how to proceed. Reinhardt says, they may act in accordance to their own situation. Why else would we have mid-rank commanding officers?
And then Yang is like,
do I have to make a command decision about everything? And Yang on the other side of the battlefield is saying, man, go discuss it with the enemy.
So they're both getting a bit irritated.
Yeah. And they're all jammed up. And I was telling you something about the show. And my observations about it while we're watching at this point. And I immediately trailed off when I got a picture of this new character, who I think is the captain of the ship that Yang is based on, with his incredibly distracting facial hair.
It's like full-on, full-blown sideburn moustache.
He's got mutton chops and then a bicycle strap underneath his chin, as well as a big old moustache. But the front of his chin is entirely bare, like beneath his lips to his chin. Clean shaven.
Just the bottom bit of the chin also bare, but then pure black.
Pure neck.
Pure black under that.
What is he doing? What is he thinking? He's gonna get us all killed with this facial hair. because no one is going to listen to his orders.
Do you want this facial hair?
No.
No?
No, it's horrible.
What do you mean? Look at it. That's a guy.
That's a guy who you know has a chin because
Exactly.
you can see it.
He's a trustworthy fellow. Anyone that you can't see the chin of, ooh. But if you can see their chin, they're a friend.
Oh, he's captain of the Hyperion Asadullah Shatian.
Same. Yeah, but like, look at this chin.
It's
like,
horrible.
But like, look at it's just so wonderful. This is like a fucking Power Ranger costume, but facial hair. You know?
A Power Ranger costume, but facial.
Where it's like you see the white bit of their face.
It's not what Power
then the
Ranger
rest-
costumes do.
Isn't
They're
it?
full face masks.
I thought you could see like the lips and it's all white
No,
or
you're
or
thinking
silver.
of other masks.
I swear, I swear, this is my childhood flashing before my eyes in the wrong like mask. I got it.
In a word, yes.
I swear, I'm gonna be so vindicated if this is well. Red Ranger, right there. See? Kaboom.
That doesn't move.
What do you mean it doesn't move?
That's not a mask that moves.
No, it's not a mask that moves, but look, it's the exact same as the facial hair, where it's like comes down under. It's like it's under the chin. You can see their chin.
I thought you were saying it was exposed so they could move their mouths.
Oh
and
god,
act.
no. Absolutely not. No
Okay,
way.
Well, I guess we were both right.
Yeah. Go us.
But
Classic
especially
joke.
me.
Wait a minute. So the battle.
Okay, there's this guy. The guy who a few episodes was like, I need to go and make a name for myself in the war. Isn't that right, Fraulein Hildegard von Mariendorf? This guy, Thunesen or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, all the communications have been disrupted. Let's leave formation and go to the front lines and get victory.
But sir, is that wise to do?
Look, he's given the order to go and do and manage our system however we want. Let's go kill Yang Wenli. And then he drives into the line up ahead and they all die.
Because no one's expecting him to show up.
He
with the
doesn't
sword
die
knife.
himself, but so many other people die as
Yeah.
a result of him charging recklessly forward. Yang is like, hey there, their formation's getting disorderly. Let's fuck them up. And they do.
And immediately after this, I think Reinhardt and Oberstein
Turnison
have
is his name.
They have a brief exchange that's like, that Turnison is an idiot.
So, yeah, Reinhardt slams his fist on his luxurious leather command chair. What the hell is Turnison doing? Turnison Fleet, please respond. Turnison Fleet, please respond.
But of course, it's all jammed up.
Someone, I think it's Overstein, says, what a hero. His voice reaches far, but his eyes can only see what's right in front of him. He's a man to keep away from. And Reinhardt says, if I'm still alive when this battle is over, I'll take your advice. But for right now, I need the strength of his fleet.
For survival.
Get a shuttle and get someone in touch with him. And so the battle progresses, and what's happening is first a lot of grisly shots of people being burnt to death and irradiated and collapsed against bulkheads with their full
innards coming
fully
out.
exposed Akira style intestines splayed out in front of them.
Yep.
It's like we know this show gets grisly every now and then with the axe battles, but we've never just seen people's innards splayed out like this.
This
I
is
wonder-
full-blown war movie type stuff where people are burning alive, they're being chopped in half, organs everywhere, skeletons forming.
people are melting.
And then the narrator's like, see, admirals sit up top, and while they know people die, they're not the ones that are dying. We sometimes forget that war is bad.
And such the incredibly subtle symbolism of a smashed framed picture of Job Trunick in a burning ship.
It's beautiful.
And then it's Prince Lowengram, who leads from the front, you could say is at the front of the line of the rest of those unworthy rulers. But what about Yang Wenli? He's the one who's feeling the guilt for causing so much death. And he's asking himself, do I have a right to pursue familial happiness with all this blood on my hands?
That is the question. That's one he has to grapple with himself for years to come.
And there's a brilliant shot where he looks over his shoulder at Frederica, where from the other side of him, from behind him, from out of shot, we can just see the light of an exploding spaceship come through the window.
Symbolism. Is he allowed familial happiness?
Who can say?
I think Julian could.
Also me.
So they keep fighting.
And we go into the second episode.
And it's just one big, long sequence of fight bits. I'm trying to think of
So
what the big...
what are our key hits? We get a...
There's the asteroid ploy.
No, hang on. First we get... I'm just going to lay it out.
Okay.
We get a, space grid map with all the shapes representing fleet formations.
Yep.
Summary of what Reinhardt is doing and what Yang is trying to do.
Yep.
Yang's forces are blitzkrieg, assaulting through Reinhardt's defensive lines, and he's making good progress, but every time he smashes apart a formation, it just goes to the back of Reinhardt's 24 ranks of defenses,
That's
reforms, and gets ready for when they'll come through again.
Yeah. And
So he's done it like 9 times now, and morale is low.
Yeah, they're all like, he has so many waves of defense. How are we going to push through all of them?
Yeah,
And
they're
live?
Exhausted. It's been like 3 days now.
And Julian's like, hey, I think I know what.
Yeah, I think he's
Reinhardt's
just like putting us on a treadmill of defenses, essentially.
and you can tell with a few shots of Reinhardt that he's getting very impatient.
Yeah, he's like tapping his finger on his knee.
He's looking around.
He wants to fight.
He's caressing his little
Kirk-Ice amulet.
yeah, the Kirk-Ice amulet. And Poplin is like, ugh.
Yeah, there's a scene back in the pilot's bay. Poplin's doing a crossword. No, sorry, Konev's doing a crossword. Poplin comes up and they have some banter about how they're going to die.
Yep.
He's doing a crossword and it's like a 7-letter word for one thing everyone experiences.
Oh, I know. Fun times.
First time, he says.
Oh,
as
first
in
time.
losing your virginity.
Oh, wait, no, that's too many letters. And he's like, yeah, it's funeral, you idiot.
Wow, you're such a downer. I'm getting out of here. That's the last thing they ever said to each other.
It's always the way it goes.
Yep.
You hop into your pilot seat.
And you never know if you're coming back.
You tell your best friend, it's not funeral, you idiot. It's fun times.
Yeah, you're going to buy me so much whiskey later for all the kills I'm going to get.
He never bought him the whiskey.
No, because he died.
He bought him his death.
Oh my god.
That's right. It's
If
on
only
his
he
hands.
wasn't hammered when he was flying his spaceship.
He could have lived.
I like how all the squadrons are named after
Whiskey.
liquor.
Yeah. What do we got? Whiskey, Applejack.
Whiskey, rum, Applejack, and another one.
Yeah, the other whiskey liquor. There's a bunch
Anyway,
of talking.
so Julian sort of deduces the treadmill strategy, and it's like, we need to get around and outside of that
treadmill. Yeah, in the same way that if you wanted to stop exercising on a treadmill, you would go sideways. They need to go sideways.
That's right.
If you want to leave the gym,
You need to leave the gym.
you need to go sideways like a crab.
They should just fly straight forward at the defensive lines, but then arc themselves up like that cool robot meme and just go over his defenses.
In space? But that's not how space works. Space has two
a flat
dimensions.
plane.
Yeah, it's a flat plane and you go forward.
Star Fox taught us that.
Yeah, exactly. You can't, like, what? How do you go up? You don't jump in space, Liam. That's ridiculous.
What if they went downwards in space and discovered whole new regions
No.
heretofore unexplored?
No, but then you'd have to dig. You can't dig through space. That's crazy talk. Come on.
Because of the dark matter.
No, the dirt, Liam. The dirt on Liam.
Walker was the other squadron, as in Johnny Walker.
Okay.
The squadrons mobilize, and we get a cool little dogfight scene from Poplin's perspective where he's kicking butt. It was really funny because they introduced like a rival pilot for him momentarily, Holst Shura, who is just in one of those, you know, in when they're escaping the Death Star.
And Darth Vader
no.
has his buddies with him?
No. When they're escaping the Death Star, not when they're doing the trench run.
Near the start?
Yeah, it's like...
Or midway through
Yeah.
the movie, yeah.
And they are getting chased by TIE fighters. And there's just a shot of like the one like black-suited stormtrooper in his pilot suit. Like, such a dehumanized figure. That's basically what this guy is, Holst Shura. We never see a face for him. And
you immediately were like,
this guy's going to die.
Oh.
And he does.
He absolutely dies. Almost immediately, in fact.
Poplin like shears his ship in half and then is pursued towards by the enemy squadron. He does a cool little maneuver where he flies directly at an enemy cruiser so they can't shoot him at risk of destroying their own cruiser because they've got those powerful lasers.
Yep.
And then he does a classic like flyboy trick where like at the last possible minute he pulls up and flies along the ship.
And the other two
Crash
vessels,
into it.
because they're not maneuverable.
Because they're not Poplin.
They're not Poplin, baby. They're not Poplin off.
So they crash straight into the ship and explode.
Yeah.
These cruisers are made of fucking tissue paper.
Literally one tiny thing explodes, the whole ship explodes. Very rarely are there any injuries in these wars.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking that was like from the first episode, right?
Yeah.
The guy with the robot hand who was like, it's pretty rare to have one of these days. I mean, and that's not true. I mean, that's not untrue because...
We've never seen anyone else other than Oberstein have any kind of prosthetic limbs or anything.
But also, everyone that we saw in the last episode being
mauled and
injured by space combat was dying immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And now this whole cruiser just goes up. That's it. One thing goes wrong, space.
Poplin's checking in with his comrades, and they've all taken some pretty heavy losses. Whiskey Squadron's all fine, actually.
Which is great.
Rum Squadron's got 14 ships left. Walker has 8 down. Don't know how many they have total.
Yeah.
And Applejack has 2 left. And then one of them is killed mid-conversation.
Yep. And now the poor ensign has to take over.
Yeah.
And Poplin knows. Poplin knows at this point what's going on, but he refuses to believe it.
Yeah. Mariah calls the fighters back to protect the fleet, and Poplin. We have a scene with Poplin, like the most like sincere, emotional scene with Poplin we've seen ever.
Yeah, in the sense that he's drinking heavily because he knows what's going on.
Yep.
That one ensign from that one squad is like, "Oh, hey, you're here."
And Poplin says, "Hey, where's your commander? I want him to be in a worse mood than I am." And the guy is like, "I'm now the acting commander of Konev's squadron because
I'm the only one left." And Poplin takes a big swig of whiskey and he's all like, "What did he do?"
I'm in no mood for a roundabout explanation right now. How many men did it take to take him down? It couldn't have been one-on-one. He's Konev."
He was actually killed by cruiser fire. Took a whole damn cruiser to take him down.
Well, only 10 battleships. Poplin's an interesting fella.
Poplin's got guts.
Poplin's got anger.
Well, now he's got anger.
Yeah.
Now he wants revenge on the Empire that took his beloved
He's
Konev away.
not participating in the rest of the episode.
Because he's not getting drunk anymore. He was going to huck his whiskey bottle into the wall, but the young ensign caught it in time.
I think he just threw it at him.
Oh, maybe. But he's angry. He's pissed off.
Yep.
His favourite boy's dead.
So Yang's forces retreat to an asteroid belt.
Which we never saw before, but apparently there's an asteroid belt there.
We can believe that.
Yeah. And Reinhardt's like, okay, so either they're luring us into a trap, or
we can win.
It's not a decoy and we can just kill them right now.
Yeah. And so they find like a detachment of Yang's forces are like over to the space left.
Mm-hmm. So they are just like going away, and Reinhardt's like, well,
it could be a distraction. But what if it's not?
Yeah, what if Yang's in that
What
fleet?
if we should go get them? And he milks his Kirk-Ice amulet with his hand.
And he stands up, he's like, boys, go get that decoy.
And it turns out it's all construction ships and asteroids.
And they're like, what the fuck is that all about?
And what do? They like
hauling...
untether from these asteroids that they've been hauling with construction ships.
Yeah.
And just smash up the fleet with them.
So they must, like, with the inertia of the asteroids, huck them into the fleet.
Yeah.
So that they start hitting all the ships while other ships are uncovering.
Actual warships start firing.
Yeah.
And somehow this allows them to encircle the defensive lines.
Because they've got
or possibly
ships on both
the
sides.
entire Reinhardt fleet. I'm unclear on that.
I think it must be the entirety of that fleet. Because when Mueller shows up, he's behind the whole fleet
that's
from
right,
who knows where.
And so they are... Yang has once again done it, we think.
Yeah.
He's turned it around, impossible odds. He's overcome it.
And Reinhardt is getting some pretty heavy words from other commanders being like, hey, you should give up because...
You should escape and fight another day.
Yeah, you should retreat on a shuttle so that your precious life is preserved forever. Otherwise, you'll die, the one autocrat we have alive.
And his functionally nameless bridge crew are taking the first steps to forcibly evacuate him. They're moving towards him with intent.
I did love that as soon as he was like, listen, if I die, then that's fine because I will go to Valhalla and I'll see all of my brethren there. And then one guy steps forward, is like, looks at the other guy, nods, and then they both start walking towards Reinhardt. But then an explosion,
like what's
chloroform?
Chloroform on a rag in their hands. Shh, my lord.
Reinhardt's like, Kirk-Ice.
Yes, dream of Kirk-Ice, my lord.
The shit. So then
that's not going to pick up at all, Nick.
Oh, it's never going to pick up. Nothing.
He said the sylph.
The sylph. So then an explosion happens.
Yeah, an Alliance ship right in front of their bridge screen explodes because Mueller's fleet has arrived.
Oh my god.
We remember Mueller.
Do I remember Mueller?
Who do you think Mueller is?
He's the guy who showed up and started protecting...
What has he done previously?
Well, he's not Fahrenheit because Fahrenheit got fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the guy who met with the two Kevins or whatever their names were.
The two Kevins.
You know those guys who were on the burning ship?
Yes, I know who you mean.
He's not them.
They weren't Kevins, I'll tell you that for free.
Is Mueller the one who's been really quiet?
Yeah, Mueller is the young one who's been hanging out with Mittermeier and Ruenthal recently. He was in the failed fortress on fortress battle to retake Iserlohn.
Yep.
He was the one who went in first, got owned pretty well, and then was just doing rear support for the rest of it.
Right, yes.
And then he got
that's
heavily
right.
wounded, escaping at the end.
Yeah. I remember now. Yeah. Cool. So he's here now.
Yeah, and we get this whole unnecessary flashback sequence where we learn the reason that he made it back first, just in time to save Reinhardt from certain obliteration, was because when he arrived at the supply base, he was assigned to take over as part of the broader scattering the forces strategy. They immediately surrendered.
And they were like, please give these supplies to the civilians. And he's like,
I can do that.
okay, do you want to come join me?
Because this was like a non-military supply base. It was all for nearby civilian planets.
Yeah. There's also a weird coup that's about to start that doesn't because...
In the Alliance forces.
On the Alliance side?
Managing the base. It's like, we can't give these supplies to the enemy. And then he's like, no, I've spoken to the commander. He's just going to distribute them to civilians like we were planning to. I save all of your lives, it's fine.
And then they pull guns on the commander.
But then even more guys pull guns on them.
And they're like, you shut your filthy mouths.
Seamlessly shoot the laser pistols out of their hands in sync.
And they're like traitors. It's like, you're the traitor.
And Mueller's like, hey, you're a pretty good guy. Do you want a job working for me? And the guy's like, no, because I won't have it said that I just sold out my base for a cushy post in the new regime.
Yeah.
So let me and my troops go back to Highness. And Mueller's like, all right. Oh, I've got to go back to the war now.
And then he just shows up.
And then he does.
And here he is. And he's
because everyone was expecting the Gale Wolf Mittermeier to get back first, because that's his whole thing.
He's
being
so
fast.
speed. Yeah. But Mueller,
he's
fast.
And he's just in time.
Yeah. And then he's given the nickname Iron Shield Mueller.
Well, we learn this in the credits because Yang basically still keeps owning Bones.
Yep. Like, he's dominating.
And Mueller gets this like really cool nickname because he has to repeatedly transfer command ships as they're about to explode, but he keeps surviving with his command crew.
Yeah.
And keeping the pressure on Yang's forces up to enable that
initial escape.
That circular blockade to be broken.
Yeah. So Yang's like, all right, open up a hole in our blockade so they can come through. He starts killing more dudes, but they still hold out.
Yeah, so basically there's this one guy who's like, he requests, he's some nameless general guy. He requests reinforcements from Reinhardt, and Reinhardt's like, we have no reinforcements. I'll see you in Valhalla, bitch. And the guy's like, Valhalla, is it? Well, then I'll get there first, so he has to wait on me. And he's going like full death cult shit.
Yeah.
And he pushes through to like the weak point in the circular blockade. Yang withdraws his forces. Mueller's forces and this guy's forces combine, and Yang just lights them all up.
Yep. Oh, Yang. When will he not be good at war?
Well, maybe after he dies in like 2 episodes.
We're still
putting all of
scrolling-
my chips on that table.
We're still scrolling through all the photos of the flashback because it just takes so fucking long to get through.
Really ruined the momentum of what was otherwise like a really tense episode, honestly.
It just keeps going. Okay, there we go.
And there's a bit from the narrator being like, future historians would later remark that the quick surrender of that supply base was what enabled Reinhardt to survive the battle.
But that's all going to be conjecture anyway, because, it's all opinion. It's all up in the air.
It's all history.
Exactly.
And history.
So then the last shots of the ep are just going to be...
Mueller repeatedly abandoning ship.
Yep. And then surviving.
Yep.
And then Yang being like, all right, we're going to go attack Reinhardt now.
I've got the list here from the narrator.
Ooh.
Mueller abandons his initial ship, which I think was unnamed,
Yep.
to get on the Neustadt. However, that was soon hit by Alliance fire and lost navigational capacity. So he abandoned that and got onto the Offenburg, which he abandoned 2 hours later for the battleship Helton.
Get off onto the Offenburg.
Mueller, who carried on a brave battle from ship to ship, would later earn himself the name Mueller Iron Shield. However, by eliminating the danger of Mueller joining the battle, Yang rebuilt his battle lines after making new plans. At long last, the Alliance fleet had brought Reinhardt's flagship, the Brunhild, within firing range. That's the end.
We get the last shot of Yang being like, hiya, with his hand outstretched.
A classic Megatron command pose.
Exactly. Banger eps.
Banger eps.
Absolute fucking banger.
Kind of hoped the battle would not take 3 full episodes, but...
But here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the more time to baguette with,
No. What do you mean by that?
As in, you take your baguette, you break it, you take a chill mo.
Breaking bread with the enemy.
And you take a mo, you're like, no work to be done right now. Only talk. Only podcast. And then you open your newspaper, you hear the accordion nearby, you're like, good rest.
Al fresco.
And then only when the baguette is done do you go, and now I will work. And it's 11:30 a.m. You're like,
Siesta.
siesta time. It's lunchtime. Look, it's basically close enough. Let's have some lunch. Man, I should move to France. It'd be a good life. Like, you'd wake up, be like, I'm going to do some work. Give me some coffee. And then you'd have some French coffee. You'd be like,
Some delicious French espresso.
Exactly. And then you'd go and be like, you know what? I'm going to get a baguette, along some Turkish bread. And then you'd go and you'd get some...
The dumbest thing you've ever said on this podcast.
So, Liam, I have 2 questions for you. Highlights
Highlights.
and lowlights.
Look, I was so taken aback by the sudden cavalcade of gore and irradiations and meltings. I've got to make that my highlight just for the sheer impact of it.
So good. So good. And it's like, it really does hammer home. It's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Every one of these ships has thousands of people on them.
And they're all burning to a crisp.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And there was shots of like people running for escape hatches or bulkhead ceiling, and then people being too late banging on them as the flames leapt up at their backs.
So good. I want to say my highlight's going to be Yang proposing to...
That was nice.
but only because, yet again, he is the most relatable character in the show.
He's bad at everything except for winning wars, which he hates.
Which makes him the most valuable asset.
He's the only one they have in their whole space nation who knows how to win a fight.
Literally, even like in the episode, Dusty is like, all right, we're here.
We forgot to talk about punished, unshaven Dusty.
Oh, God, because he's been awake
Just
so
a
long.
quick command shot of him with like full stubble.
And he's just like, all right, we're here. That Yang, he's going to pull out a new trick. We got to wait for him to pull out that new trick.
He's got to keep on holding out.
It's like, if Yang didn't exist, the alliance would just fall immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the thesis of this whole war, right?
Oh, my God.
That's why he had to abandon Isolone Fortress, because they would just get it back in the peace treaty.
It's true. Wait, how's that going to work?
Well, you see.
My low light is going to be the flashback of
The Mueller.
Because it's like, they could have just said, well, he did really well on the planet.
They could have just explained.
They could have
They didn't
literally...
have to show us every beat by beat of this.
Yeah, the show is a show about exposition, so they could have just been like, oh yeah, that's what happened, and then gotten on with it, but they didn't. They were like, no, a coup occurred, but the coup didn't happen. And then he didn't take a job with the Empire. We'll show you that. And it's like, great, you could have told me. Like, I get...
And we're not hugely invested in the fate of this one man who...
It's like
abandoned his duty, regardless of whatever broader implications that would have for the galaxy. Like, we don't really need to see him.
Yeah. Unless that comes up in a future episode, in which case...
Well, it's obviously going to be why, in my expectation, why Reinhardt survives this battle and Yang dies.
Because Mueller shows up.
Yeah.
To save the day.
Exactly.
But he doesn't have that other guy.
No. Crucially, that guy did not take a job.
No, he didn't.
And we know that because we saw it.
Yeah, he didn't want to be remembered as some... See, it's already paying off.
I think my low light is that I don't feel like Julian's love for Frederica Greenhill has been sufficiently set up by the show so far.
Yeah, a bit weak. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next time, I reckon there's going to be a battle.
Don't hold your horses there, my friend. Of course, the battle continues to rage, and Yang may have squandered his one chance to kill Reinhard von Lohengrin, but the narrator seems to be setting up that he's in an advantageous position still. So what do you think will happen next time on the last 2 episodes of Legend of Galactic Heroes that we will be watching for now? Sudden Change.
Oh!
And Long Live the Emperor.
Now, hold on. Hold on. Could Sudden Change be...
The death of Yang Wen-Li?
I mean, maybe?
And then the last episode is Reinhardt, newly crowned Emperor of Space, consolidating his power.
Fuck, could you imagine?
Skip ahead 20 years to
crumbling,
brash young insurgent Julian Minchi, guerrilla warfare style.
Oh, see, I like this. And then Frederica's like, they took away my fiancée.
Well, she could be dead as well. They're on the same ship after all.
Yeah, but Julian's on the same ship.
True.
But they must take a shuttle, and Yang's like, I can't take the shuttle.
The thing is, okay, I think, I do believe, based on the fictional positioning of where everyone's at right now, that Yang is potentially going to die, and even, I dare say, likely to die. I feel like Julian has to get away, Because unless we just introduce a whole new cadre of Alliance characters as like a next generation thing,
Yeah.
who else do we have that we know?
Yeah, we're not going to do a Scrubs season 8 where... Season 8? Season 11?
Never watched Scrubs.
Where they just introduce entirely new characters. And everyone was like, why the fuck do you do that? The old ones are still there. What are you doing? Maybe... I don't think Yang's going to die. This is my hot take. Yang won't die. He will, in fact, continue persevering, but maybe he'll just lose the fight?
I see. Limp away.
Yeah, Reinhardt will be like, you fool. I've encountered many people like you before, and I've crushed every single one of them.
We know that's not the case.
Well, no, but
we
he's
know
gonna
that
say
Reinhardt has a special place of hate or something more in his heart for Yang Wenli, that man.
That sick, beautiful man. Yeah, maybe he'll just be like, Kirk Ice, he guided me here, I can't lose here. I'm going to fight till the very end.
Yang Julian is going to... It's all going to come down to, for some reason, man-to-man combat on the bridge of... on the bridge of
the Brunhild?
Reinhardt's ship.
Yeah.
And Julian is going to go to shoot Reinhardt, but it's going to reflect off the Kyrkais amulet and kill Yang.
Oh, God, no. I reckon what'll probably happen is Yang will be like, okay, we need to do X, Y, Z, and everyone will be like...
Of course, Yang Wenli, the magician.
But then at some point, they'll be like,
This isn't his mind.
Yeah, this isn't going very well. And either he's going to fall asleep because he's been awake too long, or someone's going to knock him out.
Going to have a heart attack and die.
Yeah, someone's going to knock him out so they can
lost
escape.
faith in him.
Exactly. Or something to that effect, right? It's like, oh, we need to save him, or oh, he's an idiot. Knock him out, take him to a shuttle.
I have a hard time believing that any of the people on Yang's ship
would ever
lose faith in him after being with him for all the bullshit he's pulled.
Yeah. But there has to be something where maybe Yang is like shamed by the Alliance in some way, so he has to become a pirate.
Why do you think Yang's going to become a pirate?
I just have a feeling. It's just a
We
vibe.
know Dusty at least dresses up as one in future.
Yeah, he does. Maybe
Punished Venom Dusty, I told you.
Oh, maybe like there's so many possibilities. If they come face to face, right? If Reinhardt and Yang come face
I would
to
be
face.
very surprised if they end up being in the same room.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking like if they were, that would be weird. So they must just be like looking from afar, being like, that man, that beautiful.
Which is a throwback, of course, to the first 2 episodes of the show.
Yep. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Impossible to say. No one's ever known it, and no one ever will. Until next time on JoJo's World. But, until then, to be continued.